This is a wonderful day. You will hear during the course of this signing ceremony what a great opportunity we have before us. We are getting ready to change the way that we have generated power for the last 50 years. We are changing from fuel oil to liquefied petroleum gas, or as you would know it, propane. This is a major step forward for the authority, and we will tell you all about it today, about the benefits, about just what a wonderful opportunity it is for WAPA's customers and for all residents of the Virgin Islands. So, without further ado, it gives us pleasure to have the Honorable John P. DeYoung Jr. to come forward and give an official welcome from Government House for what we have titled Project Game Changer.
You can get a sense, if you looked around of the Virgin Islands, when you come through Government House on St. Thomas and on St. Croix. You have a chance to see the plaque that had the first Danish governors that were part of our history, the naval administrators that were part of it, to the elected governors, to the appointed. And as you transition up, you begin then to see the most recent governors that we have and what really has taken place throughout the various administrations. And as the Virgin Islands today goes through a tremendous change, it is our honor really to be able to host that event here today. Because this is more than just an event of WAPA signing a contract with a major company that's one of the largest in the world that trades with Wapa-Vitol. This is also about the change of a community that's gone through a tremendous recession from 2008 to 2010, a community that had to adjust with the abrupt closure of a company that we depended on as a crutch for 45 years. Community that had an authority that had to go from one fuel supplier to change an entire fuel source. So today is also about an organization that has changed. An organization that is comprised of some very young people, very well-educated people, who want to make a change in the community they live in because they understand that the cost of electricity, the cost of power hits them just as much as it hurts us and hurts everyone that looks at economic development. It's also about a board that has stayed true along with management to making that change, irrespective of the scrutiny and the criticisms that they've been subjected to throughout the past several years by a community that was impatient for change, and understandably so. I've been involved with WAPA, and quite frankly, I've been honored to be involved with WAPA since 1988, when I first served as a board member, and then from 1988 to 1993, I served as chairman of the board. And I've watched the young people that have come through from the Wapa-Vitol program to the board members that are there today. And as I sit back and I look at those board members, just let me take a second to tell you why I selected individuals that lead the authority today. I asked the Commissioner of Licensing, Wayne Biggs, be on there because as we begin to do things like we're doing today, I wanted to make sure that whoever came to the territory with licensing didn't have a problem. I wanted Alicia Barnes and Planning and Natural Resources to be there for the sensitivity to regulations, but also that we had a direct line to Washington, D.C. or New York if there were ever issues of concern, and also at the same time to ensure that WAPA stays on the right track. I wanted Carl Knight, not just because he is head of the Virgin Islands Energy Office and he thinks more long-term, but because he represents to me what WAPA is. A young person that went through the Wapa-Vitol program, came back, I was a part of his history for a long time. I also wanted someone who criticized, who was concerned about the cost of WAPA, the cost of power. Someone that worked in the business community, such as Noel Loftus. I wanted someone who I felt was strong, that refused to join my administration, but at least I got her to join the WAPA board and wanted a young. Jerry Groner, who's committed to environmental affairs and is articulate in his passion of what he does with it. To a small business person out of St. John, whose business operates on the cost of fuel and understands each and every day what it takes. To a hotelier, Elizabeth Armstrong, that recognizes that you don't necessarily have to be a part of the grid to be concerned with it or the regulations that's associated with it and how it impacts our industry. And then finally, someone who's always been committed to Wapa, Donald Francois, who not only has a history, but also the management that we have there today reflects his belief that it is people who make a difference. Because not only did he care about the Wapa Authority, but he also worked with Hugo Hodge when he was a student, groomed Greg Weimer, and also worked with Alicia Barnes. And that is the board and the commitment that they have, and that is reflected in the management that we have today that's making a tremendous change. And as Ms. Dunn said, it is a game changer. It will move us from a dependence on fossil fuel to propane. It will reduce prices to our residents by 30% and a 20% improvement in emissions. It forms a partnership with one of the most credible, one of the strongest creditworthy companies in the United States, the oil trading company Wapa-Vitol, that not only is willing to supply us, but also believes in us by the mere fact of a long-term arrangement to make and help us make this transition. So today is a very different day. Today is a very good day for us because it is a chance for WAPA to show this community its commitment to the community, but also for us to show our commitment to selling this project.
So we're here today, many years of blood, sweat, and tears to get this project on the way. 2010, fourth quarter, we did a feasibility study for natural gas. During the process, it showed that propane was also something to be examined. From that point forward, we started really studying the possibilities, seeing what we can do, how we can bring this to fruition, what kind of savings the customers can see, what kind of environmental benefits, what kind of benefits to the maintenance of the facilities, the units, what efficiency improvements, and all of it came back with a resounding yes, this is the way to go. So I'm going to take you through the benefits of the project, give you a little overview. First and foremost, the cost of energy. We are very mindful here in the territory that the cost of energy is the single largest impact on residents, businesses, the way we function, the way we live, our disposable income, our quality of life, and even the things that it's not responsible for, we recognize we'll get the blame for those too. So we have been pushing for a solution that's going to significantly reduce the cost of energy. And this project is a project that will change our primary fuel source from fuel oil to propane. And this switch will reduce our fuel costs by 30%. And that's quite significant. That's almost a third of the fuel cost. We're talking about $90 million in reduction in costs on an annual basis. And when I say the reduction of cost, this is not just for the propane versus the fuel oil. The company we're partnering with, Vitol, they will engineer, design, develop all the necessary construction, the storage, the piping. They will operate the new storage facility. They'll also manage the conversion of the existing generating units. They will fund all of that. They will put up approximately $100 million up in the front to get this project completed. Wapa will have no upfront cost to make this happen. There'll be no payment for Wapa to Vitol until the fuel is delivered to us. There'll be a meter in the last liquid stage right before the vaporizer. At that point, it'll be metered, and at that point, we'll be charged whatever we use to create power. That's another significant benefit of the project. The capital cost will be amortized over a 7-year period. We have an option at 5, but that means that after that 7-year period, that 30% savings becomes even more as the capital cost would have been paid off. That means that any future fuel that we look at has to compete with a 40 or 50% reduction from where we are right now. And that's not even taking into consideration that the way the regulation is going right now, there is more stringent requirements for low sulfur fuel that are going to be put on generating facilities. And if you were to compare these numbers to those types of ultra low sulfur fuel, it'd be maybe 70% a reduction in costs from where costs are destined to go. We'll pay monthly for the operations and maintenance plus the supply of fuel. And when I say 30%, I want to make sure everybody's clear. The all-in costs, so the capital, the infrastructure, the storage, every cost that we're going to pay to make this project come to fruition, all of that collectively is 30% less than the purchase of fuel oil right now. That's quite significant. And at the end of the 7 years, they'll transfer title to Wapa for a resounding $1. And it'll be ours, our storage facility. And at that point, we can decide whether we want to maintain it ourselves or contract with them to run it, or we can figure that structure out at that time. And there'll be new facilities on St. Thomas and on St. Croix. If you can glance at the screen, you'll see a rendering of what the facility would look like on St. Thomas. And for those that are listening on the radio, this is it's a submerged facility, so the storage tanks, the storage vessels are not a bunker. They're not visible. They're bunkered. They're encased with thick wall and covered with sand or type of material, and they're covered completely, which adds additional layer of safety and protection for the environment and the neighboring facilities. Now, what we have is a project that the major consideration, the major concern was assuring the public and the employees' health and safety. And they have been fully protected and vetted through the process. And additionally, a third party will come in and do a full assessment of the facilities and what needs to be done. And if there's a change in the escape route in the event of an emergency or other requirements, because we already have designed for sniffers and water blankets and other protective devices that are there to ensure the safety of the community. If there's any additional recommendations to be put into place as well. And we'll be working hand in hand with the fire services and with FITEMA, and we'll have all the agencies that play a role in protecting the health and safety of the community, and they will have this project working with us in conjunction to make sure it's the most safe project for the territory. And propane is something that's used in households on a daily basis. Many of you who cook with gas stoves, it's the same AC5 propane that you're using there, so it's not something that we're going to be using for the first time. It's something that's widely used in the community right now. And this project is consistent with our long-term energy goals. When we talk about 20% reduction in emissions, those are the greenhouse gases. As far as for the particulate emissions, we're well to be around 40% or more. We haven't finished the analysis to see where they will lie, but we know there's significantly more than just the greenhouse gases. It's an exciting time to be here in the Water and Power Authority. In 1964, the legislation was created to create WAPA in its current form. And next year, the same year that we'll be bringing online our solar projects, the same year that we'll be getting our RFP out and bringing in bids for our wind power, the same year that we'll be close to completing our biofuel project, the same year that we'll be bringing this project online will also be the 50th anniversary of the Water and Power Authority. And it's setting up for a very big celebration from January all the way to December.
I just want to thank you for being here and also for the trust that you and the rest of the island and Wapa is putting on us to work with you in bringing this significant change to I think not only the islands but also to the region. I think that's going to be a game changer, as you have called it. Both the increased supplies here, but it will provide the leadership for the rest of the region to follow. So again, we're very conscious of the trust you put in us. Now it's up to us to work with you and to execute in real time, as you have reminded me many times. And so now that's how we get to work.